Hello there. In this episode of my walk through creating an adventure in Foundry VTT for Pathfinder 2nd Edition called Strifing Grimbone, we've got to Grimbone town, and today we're going to create as much of the town as possible. We had done the background already. I think I'll just add another little heading to further break down the background into more manageable chunks. Here. That's the background there with its headings. Of course, when we're looking in the journal, we can jump to a subheading like that as well. And then I think we'll change this to a description of Grimbone. We talk about the defences of the building, the government, that they'll most likely approach Grimbone along the road to its west gate. And I think we'll remove this. So I've got to change them to make sure it's manual ordering. Yep. Background first, then the description. And then we'll have arrival at the town. We'll have our story XP award somewhere here. The PCs will most likely approach Grimbone along the road to its... well, that's a repeat of what we've already done. So we'll change this here. So that's nicer, isn't it? We've got background, Grimbone town description, and arrival at Grimbone, so the GM's attention will be brought to that when the PCs approach. At last, you see a head to the east, and they may be on this map here. And when they get to this hex, we will switch to the Grimbone town map. They will be here, and we will read, "At last you see ahead to the east that the trees of the ashwood are thinning up ahead. Through the leaves, a wooden palisade wall can be discerned in the distance. The road turns round a final bend, and ahead of you, in the palisade wall, is a sturdy wooden gate. Beyond the wall you see the thatch and shingle roofs of one-storey buildings, all new in construction. In the centre of town rears up a taller, square fortified structure, and to its left is a round tower further in the distance. You have arrived at Grimbone. As you approach the gate, there is no fanfare or reception awaiting you. No guards man the towers overlooking the gate." And that's the nice point, to have the XP award that they've arrived at the town. So now, having done the background and the description and a little arrival segment, we will do the town key. Go into the journal, of course. Grimbone encounters. And then our page will not be a repeat of that, but it'll be the first area that they probably come to, the West Gate. West Gate. If the PC is trying to get in through this gate, read the following. If they get in through the south gate, obviously we'll move to that point in the key. You rap upon the firmly closed gate. At length there is a muffled shout coming from the apparently unmanned watchtower overlooking the gate. "What sorcery is this? Begone, fiends! Cease your trickery, taking the shape of ordinary folk." A DC 10 perception check will reveal the bobbing, possibly trembling top of a guard's helmet just poking over the rail of the watchtower. Eventually the PCs will persuade the guard to let them in. Clearly Grimbone was not in fact imminently expecting any sort of friendly visit or rescue from outsiders. All the guard can do is wonder at how the PCs got past the fiends and the terrors of the Ashwood. He refuses to answer any questions, still suspicious the PCs might maze him, and insists on escorting them straight to the triumvirate, who will know what to do. So we'll do our perception check here. And that will lead the players to the next area, and they will walk along here to the triumvirate, to the leaders of the town in this fortified structure, which we'll call the town keep. So large bit of text read out text there. Obviously, if they came in from the south gate, you could have a member of the town similarly nervously accost the PCs and suggest they come up from the south gate to the same area. You are ushered within the town walls by the nervous guard. Inside are ordered streets and rows of new wooden houses. All is empty. Let's show it off a bit more. All is empty and quiet like a ghost town. As the gate slams shut behind you with a clack and the bar lowered with a clump, you cannot help but be startled at the sudden noise breaking the brooding silence. You are led past boarded shop fronts and windows along a cobbled road leading to the central small keep-like structure you saw from outside the walls. At 3 stories with a battlement roof, it dwarfs the surrounding buildings. The guard leads you up to its front door, thumps twice, and you are admitted within. You are asked to wait in the foyer, and after a moment, another nervous guard leads you into a meeting hall in the centre of the keep. The windowless hall is rather dimly lit by torches burning wanly in their wall sconces and shrouded in a hushed silence. A hastily assembled, raggedly line of guards stands to either side. Ahead are 2 rather mismatched figures, a large, overweight and unfit-looking man and a tiny, lithe, elderly woman, standing facing you from behind a long table. They wait warily for you to make the first move, as if half expecting you to try to fry them where they stand. And so there will be some role-playing of this encounter in Grimbone. The 2 figures are what remains of the triumvirate. The large man is Uman, a mining overseer, and the small woman is Brigger, a former soothsayer from a Varisian travelling company. They slowly relax as the PCs start conversing, and will relate recent events in Grimbone. They are surprised that word got out to Pindaka that the town was in danger, presuming that there is some kind of fiendish blockade. Most townsfolk had resigned themselves to their fate, simply awaiting the next diabolical attack. And then they are surprised that the aid consisted of so few individuals, wondering if the PCs were the last few pitiful survivors of a heroic crusade. They sigh in resignation when they realize that Mayor Acquisitus basically sent a trade delegation, worried only about the interruption of his precious supply of silver. The Grimbone triumvirate currently numbers but 2 individuals, Uman and Brigger. They are pessimistic about any kind of future that does not involve the town and all its inhabitants succumbing to a horrible end at the hands of supernatural forces. They express their commiserations that the PCs have braved the journey here only to share in this dismal fate. They are fatalistic, helping the PCs as best they can without putting themselves or the guards in any extra danger, i.e. travelling outside the town walls or even outside the fort at night. But they see little point in investigating the disturbances or in defending the town. Brigger will describe the Night of Terror in her own unique style that seems to be copied almost word for word whenever the PCs ask anyone in the town about the incident. Whoops. Too many lines. Quote. Brigger theatrically holds her hands cupped to either side of her head, motions you close, and begins to recount in low, hushed tones. The night was dark as pitch. Silence pervaded over the town as the hour of midnight struck, and it seemed that death and decay held illimitable dominion over all. The habitual growling of the wolves and the short, despairing wail of another victim of the dreaded vampire were the only familiar sounds disturbing the preternatural stillness of this night. Then they came. The moon appeared between scudding clouds overhead, revealing in a pale lambent half-light sinister shadowy figures descending swiftly upon our poor town. Terror struck deep in our hearts, for these spirits were none other than the very devils from the eternal fires of hell. Glowing red eyes had they, and horrible horned crimson visages, which grinned maliciously as they wreaked carnage and mayhem through the streets. The air became alive with the screams of hapless victims, carried off by the fiends who departed as suddenly as they had come. Hell only knows what foul fate has befallen those unfortunates taken to the underworld. Brigga finishes her last sentence with a flourish, waving her arms in the air and staring at you unblinkingly. So this this is supposed to lead the PCs into thinking perhaps these are somewhat xenophobic, somewhat overly superstitious townfolk. Maybe they're not actually thrust into a fight against the hordes of hell. The pair will readily describe notable locations in town if asked, and suggest the PC stay with them in guest quarters within the fort. The nights will pass most conveniently there, they say, until dawn breaks, and it is relatively safe to want to venture out again. They issue dire warnings about travelling about town after dark, unless they wish to battle creatures from beyond the grave or from the netherworld. So at this point, the PCs may wish to ask a bit more about what's happening in town and around town, and obviously they may want to start investigating this night of terror that Brigga refers to. So we will have a section, places of interest in town. Oman and Brigga or other residents are happy to tell the PCs about the town. Grimbone Inn lies just west of the town hall, a building there, to the north of the main road to the west gate. There is a blacksmith, a few shops still open, and a market to the north of town. Grimbone's resident sage lives in a tower to the northeast of the town. However, he is a recluse and of little to no help in dealing with the town's many problems. If asked why the town is so dangerous at night, they relate that there have always been odd instances of abductions. It has been presumed that these were the depredations of the Grimbone werewolf, the ghosts of the Ashwood, or the flying dragons rumoured to lair in the forest. Even before the night of terror, these disappearances increased. After dark, folk huddled in their beds, closing their ears to the screams in the night, the furtive scufflings outside their locked doors, and the screeches echoing in the sky over the quarry and over the forest beyond the palisade. Nice place to live. So then we have this area, and we will refer to it in Grimbone Encounters here. To, and then we can drag this here. Yeah. And then we'll have the next section, places of interest outside the town. west. The north. The east. And the south. So if the PCs ask about the area surrounding the town, they're told that to the west is the road to Pindaka, which the PCs obviously already know about because that's the route to reach the town. A sidetrack to the south from this west road most likely leads to a kobold lair, the townsfolk, which the PCs may already have explored. And there are other dangers that await those foolish enough to leave the main path. In particular, the townsfolk who travelled to Pindaka knew to steer well clear of an old hag who lairs in a ruined tower, luring the unwary into her den. If the PCs relate that they found and defeated the hag, Brigger, who seems to know a little more about her, will be impressed, because Brigger herself is a soothsayer and herbalist. However, there are many other dangers that beset Grimbone. But if the PCs relate that they had destroyed the hag, they should get a story experience point award. So we will cut and paste the means to do that from when we've done it before at arrival at Grimbone. Let us check how that looks. Yeah. Then to the north of Grimbone is a cemetery, just a stone's throw from the wall. Once there was a church of Pharasma, or you can change the deity to one that a PC worships to fit in with their story. A cleric might want to reconsecrate the church, especially if it was to their deity. That served the cemetery and the town's religious needs. But years ago, one dark night, when the forest came alive with the howls of wild animals, a great eruption from the bowels of the earth was felt, and the next morning the church had disappeared, along with its priests. All that was left was a mound of earth. This was clearly a sign that the gods had forsaken Grimbone, and the Night of Terror has subsequently proven this true. And then to the east is a cleared section of forest intended for crops in an attempt to make Grimbone more self-sufficient and less dependent on food imports sold at exorbitant rates from Pindaka. However, the soil must be bad because nothing seems to grow in the ashwood. To the south, beyond the gate destroyed in the Night of Terror, is the quarry where the riches of Grimbone are brought forth from the ground. Beyond that are impassable cliffs and the surrounding forest. If pressed about the current economic situation, especially if the PCs have explored the quarry, they will admit that the silver supply in the quarry is running out. It appears to them that the town is doomed, even if by some miracle they survive the fiendish attacks. And then similarly here, in the town keep, where they may be doing lots of the asking questions, refer to there. And one final thing in the town keep. And then the final thing going on in the town keep is the business with the third member of the triumvirate. Uma and Brigger only relate the mysterious disappearance of Arca, the third member of the triumvirate, if directly questioned, or if prompted by the simple comment that they seem to be one person short, if anyone knows what a triumvirate is. After all, he is only one of many missing persons, and he was the most junior member of the council. Of course, there has not been the inclination to consider a replacement, given the present circumstances, and the likely imminent dissolution of the whole town. Arca seemed to become unwell a few weeks ago, before the night of terror. Like Uman and Brigger, his quarters were in the fort, but he had no family, and he took just a single set of rooms on the guest's floor, where he spent increasing amounts of time alone. There was an unconfirmed account of him being spied running across the town street one night after the night of terror, keeping to the shadows, but Arca knew better than to be so reckless. The furtive figure was probably just a ghost or a devil in similar attire. The door to Arca's quarters is locked, but Brigger has a spare key, and fatalistically will allow the PCs to do what they wish with it. There was no answer at the door, so they presumed he had gone out and not returned like so many others. If the PCs investigate Arca's quarters using the key, or by picking the simple lock, 3 successful DC-20 thievery checks, they discover the rooms with odd papers spread in disarray. There is a sitting area and adjoining bedroom. Arca, and let's talk about the rest later. We'll do it now. Arca appears to be sleeping in his bed, the sheets covering all save the dark lank hair on top of his head. But Arca does not respond to spoken commands. Is he dead? When the PC makes contact or pulls aside the sheets, they see a rotting corpse. Arca lumbers into action as a zombie. So we need to do a scene with the guest quarters where the PCs will stay, and also Arca's quarters. We'll just add in this check here. Okay, let's go to our Scenes tab, Chapter 3 Grimbone, Guest Floor, or we'll call it Town Hall. Guest Floor. You will find a picture of it here, I hope. Grimbone Keep Upper Floor, we call it. Yeah, I've called it. And the grid, I think, is 150 resolution. No padding. The padding is all in the walkthrough, not in the scenes. And save the changes. Yeah, that's the right resolution. Can't see the squares, but to can just about tell from the pattern of the tiles. Fine. And then as usual we have walls, foreground, there, and we'll test it out as usual. Who should we have? Marizio can sneak upstairs. Yeah, she's underneath the there, and we of course need to set them. Foreground, tile opacity 0.85 and no fading. No fading under the shields. So we will now do the walls. Have it set to the grid. And we have some windows, but we'll just do that for now. Whoops, so that one's just there. Those are our walls. I normally make the doors the full thickness, the full width of a square, but don't really need to. I think to make this one a little bit shorter. You have to turn that off. There, and then we'll add another little one there. And our windows. No, I wanted to not create another one, I wanted to extend the existing one. Get my finger off the control button. A few more walls to do. One place. Okay, I think that's all the outer walls, and then we'll do some doors. this door is locked because that's the one to Arca's room, and the sound will just be basic wood. And this one we've got a jar, so we'll have it open. Basic wood. And these rooms will be the PC's guest rooms, so they might be explore here. Just give it a sound, and show them to their bedrooms. And then they might be curious about this locked door anyway, and that could be a further way into leading into the conversation about Arca, about who or what is beyond the locked door. Or they might explore themselves and come across a zombie, and only then ask the Uman and Brigga what's the meaning of the locked room and the zombie in the bed. So I think we need some terrain blockers. We've got this thing here, so I usually start at the corner here. Is that right? The wrong colour. Here's the terrain one, green one. That's the fireplace, which is unlit, and nothing there, and a tall wardrobe there. We'll just make it go back to here for convenience. Nope. And then this is a rather tall dresser, so we'll just have a narrow tall bit there. Another tall wardrobe here. Nothing else. I think that's our windows now. Should we do something special about the windows? Proximity, light restriction. Yeah, we'll set the proximity. Because that's default, I'll just carry on. A large bathroom window, hopefully frosted. Lights. So these torches will be lights. And make them a little bit of a yellowy light. Maybe it's a bit too strongly yellow. And some animation, just a flicker. If we can go for the torch, maybe we'll do that. We'll do the torch animation, so you'll see that there's a glowing thing there. Actual kind of animation glow. Whereas if it's just a flicker, should probably put it in the right place. It's just a flicker. You don't get the glow, it's just the static thing, and you get this changing in darkness and brightness. So let's go for the torch one. It's slightly low, isn't it? So we need to put shift and put it in the middle. Right, now we're happy with them. We can Control C and Control V, shift it to the right place. And then these would be lit but by little candles. These will just have a flicker. Okay. And we'll have an animation here. Very small. Moving, yeah, let's put it in the middle. To fake water, we have a light dome. And then in the daytime we want light coming in through the windows. So we'll put a light here. This would be white light. Black and white might be the same. See what that, and between 0 and 0.5. We're not seeing anything. So what we did to test them out, I think we'll make it dark. And then take away the limited range. And there we see it's there but dim. I just like it if it's white. So we probably just need it a bit brighter. brighter still. Let's look at the properties of the window. I think we'll take away the light restriction, just have sight restriction. There's a tiny crack visible through there, isn't it? Okay, I think that's fine. Change it back to just in the daytime. Have it in daytime. Yep. Okay, any sounds? Maybe we'll have some sounds of fluttering, burning torches. Just quiet ones. Not a fire pit, a torch. Check it's not too loud. Seems a bit loud, doesn't it? And we'll copy and paste. And there. And it's close enough to just have one for the two of them there. So that's I think that's all the lights and sounds that we have there. And then I think it just remains for us to do a label. So we'll copy and paste that one, I think. We have Black Forest Caves. Town Hall guest floor. And this will refer to Grimbone encounters. Down keep. And it was G2. So back to our journal. So the PCs can unlock this door, come in, find the zombie in the bed, which they presume may be Arca. So we need to do the combat here. lots of zombies. We'll just do the monster core zombie shambler. Import it. Put it in the creatures. And we'll just make it elite. So elite goes from -1 to 1 rather than -1 to 0. I think I'm not going to have a nice picture for the zombie. Need to have a portrait for Arca, don't I? Let's check if I've done it. Yeah, I need to find, so I'll just use a commoner token in the meantime, or bandit in the meantime, bandit commoner for now. Let's change his name though. So this isn't really much of a challenge to the PCs who may be second level by now, but it's just to provide a bit of a shock and a scare and move the story along. So by way of explanation, the zombie was commanded by the master to lie in the bed as if it were Arca. It is assumed by Brigger the soothsayer and others that Arca was transformed into a zombie, hardly the strangest thing to occur in Grimbone of late. However, if she is asked to identify the corpse, she reluctantly does so and confirms that the personal effects on the body indicate that its identity is clearly not Arca, but some town servant, perhaps placed in Arca's bedroom as some macabre trick. Exploring the room. In a locked drawer, simple lock, in the bedside table, we have an example of a simple lock here, didn't we? So we'll copy this. That's probably not worked, has it? No. Let's copy it from here. In a locked drawer, in the bedside table, are 125 silver pieces, which the authorities will take if they are aware. and a neat pile of loose papers written in a hurried hand and signed in the name of Archer. They appear to be a last will and testament. They are rambling and circumlocutory, as befitted Archer's manner, and suggest that he felt he was being stalked at night by unseen forces, that he had a lingering ailment, and that he expected his imminent demise. And we'll add the money in here. What is it? Silver, isn't it? We had the... I don't think we can do a quantity here. I think we need to do it as a loot. Coin pouch seems suitable. Well, it's gold though, isn't it? Maybe we'll not have that. Have it like a sack. And the token can be that one I did earlier for the ogre. 120. Argus drawer. And we can have another version of it here. Made a mistake, we need to shrink it down. And made invisible there. Okay. A DC 20 perception check on the room reveals that its single shuttered window has been forced open. This is in the bedroom, so we say. The bedroom. Reveals that its single shattered window has been forced open and then closed again. A critical success reveals that it was forced open from the inside. Let's make it a bit easier. Further happenings in relation to Archer are described later. And then an XP award. If the BCs realise that the fate of Arca is yet to be discovered, award the party 80 XP. And we'll refer to our previous one to copy it again. Okay, so that's quite a lot we've done here for the town keep, and of course PCs can use this area if they want to have a bath or be shown to their rooms for the night before or after they explore Arca's room. What's next on Grimbone Encounters? The inn. Got some mistakes there, haven't we? So we'll just we've got town keep as a heading. Town keep is a big heading. Arca is a heading 3. Exploring the room should be a heading 3. Story XP award. Heading 3, yeah, that's better. Grimbone Inn. It is hard for a building so obviously new to look so tired and forgotten, but Grimbone Inn manages this with aplomb. From the crookedly hung sign outside written in a thin, slightly wobbly script, to the unimaginative decor and rickety furniture inside. The establishment is empty, save for the innkeeper perched on a stool, staring as if in a trance at the unpolished bar in front of him, and the obligatory drunk hunched over the end of the bar, deep in his cups. The innkeeper is roused with some difficulty. He cannot quite believe there are paying customers. He charges 2 silver a night per PC if the PCs for some reason avoid staying for free in the town hall. I think we call it town keep or town hall. There are plenty of rooms available upstairs. If the PCs state they are on official business of the triumvirate, he will grudgingly reduce his fee to 1 silver piece. He can provide the usual account of the Night of Terror and knows directions to most places, but has no gossip or other information, spending as he does most of his time alone at the bar. Like many townsfolk, he has hardly slept since the Night of Terror and looks about to fall asleep in the middle of the conversation with the PCs. And then there's Pickwick's problem. The drunk is Pickwick. He is a miner who lost his son recently. He has given up work and somewhat vague as to why. There is little silver remaining in the quarry. His story is that he told too many tales to his young son. About dragons and dungeons and the like. It must have been an allergic sneeze from the mention of those names, in the wrong order, fortunately. When his son grew older, he became obsessed. One day, when the sun saw a green dragon in the sky over the ashwood to the northeast, he vowed to venture forth and slay the beast. The dragon was a subject of local folklore, being blamed for odd disappearances of townfolk if they wandered too far from the safety of the town's walls. This was before the wholesale kidnapping of the Night of Terror. In fact, responsibility for most of these disappearances, as well as for the Night of Terror, lies with Nemo's beast folk, as the forest drake prefers badger and kobold. Pickwick Sr. did not take his son's talk seriously, especially since his son stayed firmly put in Grimbone, explaining that he was waiting for a delivery of goods from Pindaka. But one fateful morning, a delivery did arrive, a large pile of netting. However, instead of going fishing in a nearby stream, Pickman Jr. Pickman? He's gone to Pickwick. Have a less Lovecraftian name, Pickwick. Pickwick Jr. maintained he was off to face the dragon, and to no one's surprise, he never returned. The old miner blames himself for filling his son's head with fairy tales and not taking his attention seriously until it was too late. Fathers of gamers everywhere, beware. He doesn't hold out hope that the boy is alive, but he would give all he has just to know for sure, and for some token of keepsake of his son. His son was in fact waylaid by another flying beast, the Harpy of Encounter H. The father will pay 100 silver pieces for definite news. Good PCs may wish to return the family amulet. So we'll put the loot reward in there, and this time I think I'm going to just copy and paste, duplicate. Pickwick's reward. Move 20 down to 100 silver. I need to change the token. And then there's also an XP award, which we'll copy from the last one, the town keep. That's Grimbone in. I think we'll go to the map now and start adding in some labels. Again, we can copy it from here. No token objects copy, because we have to click that. Then we copy it. Grimbone Town. So number 1 was the West Gate. Too big, isn't it? .30, I think. Font size. Maybe half the font size as well. maybe we'll increase the font size, because after all it's only if you're clicking over it. Yeah. Westgate. G1. Westgate. Should really, whoops. Town Keep, and the inn here. The inn. What's the next one? Blacksmith. This is going to be this building here. You pass by the silent smithy near the west gate on your way into town. From the outside, the workshop appears well maintained. However, its wide door is closed and there is no ruddy light of a smith's furnace glowing through the boarded windows. If the PCs knock or try to enter, they find that the smithy is not in fact deserted. Inside broods the gloomy Sigurd Singebeard, who by his own reckoning is a master smith stuck in a doomed backwater. He came to Grimbone after hearing of the quality silver and iron here. He specializes in forging silver weapons of finest workmanship, and wanted to select his materials from their source. Sigurd has been hard at work. His stock includes enough weapons of all types to supply a small army. Sadly, he neglected to consider the lack of market for his fine goods in the local area. Sigurd indeed dreams of stocking an army one day to fight the humanoid forces of Avestan, goblins, orcs and hobgoblins, and dreams of wiping them out. Given the fact that many such humanoids now live relatively peacefully with other folk, some might consider this attitude bigoted, to say the least. He is disgusted by the lack of fighting spirit of the Grimbone townsfolk, yet does nothing to lead them himself. During the raid, he remained locked in his shop, protecting his goods, and that is what he will continue to do. If only he had stepped outside his door on the fateful night of terror, and taken a swing at a devil or two with some of his precious stock, the invader's true mundane nature might have been discovered, and the townsfolk might have had the courage to mount a proper resistance. If the PCs talk of glorious battles against evil humanoids, or in fact, later on, relate their discovery of the beast folk, Sigurd will gift them each a low-grade silver weapon of their choice of +1 weapon potency, and will be happy to forge any weapon runes the PCs subsequently find onto these silver weapons. In fact, he will also give them a single striking rune to apply to a silver weapon. About his gifts, he proudly mutters, "Meteoric silver," what accent? We have a meteoric silver, nothing better. Came out of the quarry so pure it might already have been cast into ingots. With my technique it becomes harder than steel and keeps its edge. Would take an orc's head clean off, and the silver's not half bad against those vampires and werewolves set to haunt the Ashwood. And that's our Deep South Dwarf. So it depends on the weapon. You can just upgrade a PC's weapon. So any runes they discover, we've got a nice dwarf to put the runes and adjust the runes, swap them between their weapons. That's the blacksmith. And then up here we've got Minnie's home. When the PC's first venture up the curving street to the north of the main West Street, read the following. You pass along a wide but poorly cobbled and muddy curving side street. The hushed silence of the town is broken by sobs coming from a simple wooden home on the west side of the street. If the PCs investigate, they find the front door wide open. Inside is a simply furnished home, 20 foot square, with one 10-foot square corner partitioned off as a bedroom. It is from here, through the door which stands ajar, that the sobbing is heard. Sitting on the bed, her eyes raw from crying and wringing a man's plain shirt between her clawing hands, is Minnie. On the day before the night of terror, her beloved husband went off east into the Ashwood, against her advice, to hunt for game, and never returned. She assumes that the devils took him, and in hopeless grief wishes to end her own life similarly and leaves the door open for the devil's return. In fact, Minnie's husband, a capable ranger, stumbled upon a cultist script to be described in the next chapter, and was slain by the tiny guardians of his entrance door. If the PCs bring back news of her husband's demise, Minnie will not be consoled in the slightest, but if the town is ultimately saved, she will leave Grimbone and move on with her life. Another XP award. We're racking up the XP awards here. In the idea is that in Grimbone they will get from around approaching second level to approaching third level by the time they're ready for the next part of the adventure. After Grimbone home, Minnie's home, we got the market. Ransacked stalls lie haphazardly across the small market square up here. Some fruit and vegetables spilling out of overturned barrels lie rotting in piles, untouched for several days. A covered well stands in the middle of the square. No one has been inclined to clear up after the night of terror, and certainly no business has been conducted here for several days. The well has pure drinking water. And then we come to a more major encounter location here, the Sage's Tower. Standing before you is a squat round tower, around 40 feet wide and as many high. The stone blocks are weathered and ancient looking, in stark contrast to the rest of town. It is as if a town grew up one day around a solitary tower, and the tower never noticed. There is a battlement around the peaked slate roof, but no guards man the parapet. At the top of a few steps curving round the outside of the tower is a stout iron-bounded wooden door, and we need to do a scene for this tower now. I think it's going to be 300. Yes, 300 resolution. So this is the lower floor of the tower. Well, the lower floor that's worth exploring of the tower. The steps up to the door, and we'll do the walls. And we'll make them the correct opacity. And now we'll put in some actual walls here. That's not selected. Remove my game paused so I can see. Done. And we'll have a door. Which is locked. and the sound will be heavy wood. No windows on this floor, and any tall structures, so these are tall. And an old bed there. That crate is quite tall, isn't it? And the spiral staircase. Let's start again there. See, from this point onwards, we'll check on that, I think. So let's take a character. Here we have, I saw a sealer here, 5th level sealer. Now, we're going to have to deal with light and dark, aren't we? So outside, reasonably light, take it to darkness. And it's darkness in Grimbone. Inside we need to make it darker. So we will need to set a region, a polygon region, or should we have a circle region? Go away. If we do shift, so it's a kind of freestyle pattern. So I'll start there. It's one of those awkward circles. So I think we'll probably start and we'll put we have it starting there. Okay, that will cover us. Maybe just a tiny bit bigger actually. We're getting close. Perfect. See, perseverance conquers all. A darkness. The shape we have already. Our behavior we will add adjust darkness level. Enable it, and we will override to a darkness level of 0.7, see what that's like. certainly darker, isn't it? I think we'll probably have it darker still there. Little light there. Light there, yeah, we'll have the surroundings darker still. Doesn't seem pitch dark, does it? Maybe it's because I'm the GM. In fact, we'll just put it 100%. But we'll have some lights. Yeah, they look alright, those lights. And it will have them flickering actually, so I shouldn't have done that. They're flickering a bit slowly, aren't they? Well, I suppose that's a reasonable thing, and it's dark in the centre. So that's the run now. What do we need to do? Any sounds? I don't think so. And sealer's blocked, and we'll just check that that door works. By which I mean she can go through it. And these stairs. So she can't jump up the stairs, good. If she goes here, well, she can hop up the stairs. Let's change that. So they can do some shenanigans on the stairs if they really want. Oh, what's happened here? 10 feet isn't high enough. So, need to change something here. Go onto the tiles, foreground, elevation 10. And the 10 foot she's still visible above the stairs. If she's down to 0 foot, she's kind of underneath the stairs. Blocked by them as well. Okay, that's the lower floor. And then we need to do the upper floor. This is where we'd forgotten to change that to 10 as the default. Grid is 300, no padding, 2, grey, save the changes, and have a look. Fine, yeah. So this one, the walls, oh not the, yeah, the walls. There, and adjust that. To the way walls should be, and we'll get on with our walls here. When I did this in Dungeon Alchemist, I chose the limited perspective rather than orthogonal because it's quite a small area, and it gives you a nice view of the walls in perspective without the perspective being distorted too much by distance from the centre. Also the symmetrical circular nature lends itself to the perspective view not causing strange distortions. And in Windows, oh, windows. Better. That's not better. And taller furniture, got this one, same as on the ground floor. All these. You're too close to a vertex on a wall, it'll assume you want to join onto it. And then the top bit of the desk. And then this structure here, which is like a kind of fire pit. So we say that's open there and open there. I think I'll have it open in all four corners. So I'm just going to do it like this. That's the fire pit, and then the stairs. So we didn't want to block it there, so we'll have it coming around here. Anything else tall? I think that's enough. Okay, and lighting. Of course we have a fire pit in the middle. That's going to look good, isn't it? With the light streaming out. And maybe a reddish light. And a torch. And then other lights. Little candle there. We can have that glowing. Pinky colour. We could have it doing a strange pulse, couldn't we? Yeah. any other colour. This could emit some kind of orange light, couldn't it? And then we have a light here. We always have too many lights. Let's just have a funny light here. What colour should we have it? I think some of them change in colour. Chroma. Perfect. If that doesn't make the players sick, I don't know what will. Sicken 3 at least. I suppose I should have little lights there. Replicate the torch. Okay, a nice colourful Sage's Lab. Tower, whatever you want to call it. Put that in the middle. Kind of is in the middle. Fine. Any sounds? We'll have a fire pit sound. And I think we'll have constrained by walls for that. Too loud. Too loud. And then if we have some other interesting sound here, maybe. Portal. Oh, very nice. As long as it's not too loud. Okay, nice wizardly sounds there. So that's that area done. We should label it. G6, I believe. G7. Sage's Tower. There, so they can easily refer to it there. Okay, so that's the Sage's Tower done there. And here's the description. Some scholars seek knowledge to spread their wisdom and their reputations. Others seek to hoard it away and jealously guard it. Parthan, the old sage who lives in this tower, is most definitely in the latter category. Lured by stories of Thessalonian secrets in the Ashwood, he ventured here at around the time of the founding of Grimbone and built his tower, complete with complete with minor weathering illusions. Parthan follows no creed but his own self-interest, which mirrors quite closely the greed for knowledge and thirst for secret lore that the cult of Lasala, in particular the followers of Karzug, Lunoda Greed, espoused millennia before him. Perhaps there is an ancient something from across the eons of time that attracts such individuals. Initially enthused by having a powerful wizard and wise man on their doorstep, the townsfolk quickly learnt how useless he was to them, and soon ignored the tower that dominates the northeast part of Grimbone. The sage is now never seen to venture forth, day or night. Some surmise that he died of self-neglect, of a selfish lust for knowledge that grew so strong it subsumed all bodily needs. Others fear he has undergone some terrible transformation, so you could start up some rumours about the sage if you wished. In fact, Parthan simply despises the world in general, and ignorant folk of Grimbone in particular, so much that he cannot bear their company. The troubles of the town do not concern him. He has a charmed hobgoblin named Colmac tending to his needs, who is shape-shifted temporarily into a nondescript humanoid form when going out shopping for provisions or travelling further afield for books of lore. The hobgoblin enters and exits the tower under cover of invisibility. The door has a DC 20 simple lock and is hardness 15, hit point 60, 30 break threshold. So I think we'll copy the lock from the town keep. Down here somewhere. Loud noises such as bashing down the door will attract some townsfolk onlookers who will warn the PCs to desist for fear of angering the resident. If they continue, Parthan starts throwing lightning bolts down at them from the battlement until they get the message. If the PCs enter quietly, read the following. You peek inside the open door and see a large chamber occupying the whole of this tower floor. To one side, a tough-looking, oversized blue-skinned goblin in armour snores loudly on a low bed draped in dirty animal skins, a wickedly barbed glaive within easy reach by his side. A stone spiral staircase leads to floors above and below. Around the room are kitchen paraphernalia, sacks and crates. The PCs can avoid waking the sleeping guard by sneaking versus DC 24, given how deeply he slumbers. So we'll have that check. We'll give it a name, I think. If the hobgoblin awakens, only a successful diplomacy check versus will DC 23 will persuade the hobgoblin to allow the PC to visit Parthan upstairs, and he will insist on accompanying them. Otherwise, the hobgoblin will fight to the death and Parthan will be alerted. Don't need to be secret. So we need to do the stats of the hobgoblin. Hobgoblin general, I think. Yep. And his name is Colmac. His token is Colmac too. And we probably need to change his inventory. Oh, we've got glaive there. Fine, perfect. And the strikes are there. Looking at tokens. That's Cormac there. What colour should we make him? Red, I think. Yeah, tough looking hobgoblin there. And we could drag him, as it's not, maybe make it a bit easier to see, we have him in his bed there. Obviously when the PCs go in, you just make him visible. In fact, you may as well start off visible. So that's, excuse me, that's Cormac. And I think we'll stop there. We've done quite a lot, ploughed our way through different encounters in Grimbone. We got to potentially quite a tough encounter if a fight can't be avoided, and upstairs they'll be meeting the sage himself. So thanks very much for your attention, and we'll continue next time. Thank you, bye.